second?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Craig, would you like to do the pledge of allegiance?
Yes. Can everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Afterwards, we'll have a moment of silence. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank everybody for coming tonight. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Ogulus,
Present?
Mr. Amaranda,
Present.
Mr. Ferrioli,
Here.
Mrs. Kennedy,
Present.
Mrs. Adams,
Present.
Mr. Nucci,
Present.
Mrs. Longley, Mrs. Manzi, Mr. Nolan,
Present.
Mrs. Hutchinson, Mr. Budnick,
Present.
Ms. Hughes, and Ms. McGinnis.
Okay, appointment of the Board of Education trustee and oath of office. I need a motion in a second.
Motion.
To appoint the state candidate. I need a motion in a second.
Motion by second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, we have to read from here?
Want me to read it?
You can read it.
Whereas effective February 1st, 2015, a board member's resignation is tendered, resulting in a vacant seat on the Board of Education. Whereas Education Law Section 1804 authorizes the Central School District Board of Education to fill such a vacancy by appointment. Now therefore be it resolved, the Board of Education hereby appoints Robert Grable to the vacant seat, and said board member shall serve until the next regular school district election on May 17th, 2016.
So I need a motion in a second.
Motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Congratulations. Would you please stand, please? Come closer, we won't bite.
Where we go?
Right here, we got to swear you in. Photos.
Do you, Robert Grable, solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York, and will faithfully discharge the duties of board trustee according to the best of your abilities?
I'll be over there.
Now we're out of alphabetical order. We're supposed to move down. We're out of alphabetical order.
Have the attorney break it down.
Oh, listen, buddy, I learned that by Sharon. Speaking out about that. Bob, very careful.
That's right. What I am.
More like it.
All right, we're moving over to the minutes of the Board of Education. I need a motion and a second for the minutes for February 23rd, 2016, planning session.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I need a motion and a second for the minutes of the February 29th, 2016 special meeting. Motion. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're moving over to accommodations and education spotlight.
Excellent. I think I have the most fun jobs. I really do.
You do.
Because I get to see all our champions, so that's really exciting to me. So, Coach Ciccolone, you're here a lot, which is really exciting. Because you're a great coach, you always have great teams. So I'm going to ask you to come up and talk a little bit about your season, because we have league champions standing in among us. And we also got the most outstanding sportsmanship award from the Long Island Officials.
First off, I'd like to thank Superintendent Adams and the Board of Education for having us here tonight. Coach O'Rourke, if you can come up and join, please. Coach O'Rourke is our diving coach here at Connetquot. This is the start of my 20th year here at Connetquot coaching, and I could not have asked for a better year and a great bunch of gentlemen. This year we were league champions within our league. We had 6 gentlemen that earned all league honors, and I'll announce them as they come up as well. 2 of those all league honors were our youngest, 2 8th graders, Kyle Andre and Brady Olson. Which means these young men had top 3 finishes at our league meet, which was quite impressive. One of the accolades this year that I was most excited about was this award you see here, and this is the most outstanding sportsmanship award in Suffolk County. For those that may or may not know, this is elected among all the officials within Suffolk County, which says that they saw these young men as gentlemen, which they truly are. To us, this is a much better award than that league championship banner that we're getting. This means a whole lot more to me, especially my 20th year coaching. So, gentlemen, very, very proud of you, and an honor well deserved. So, without further ado, Coach Andrew O'Rourke. Paul Andre. Another 8th grade young man. Twins. Triplets, actually. Kyle Andre. We have Joseph Amarendo. Michael Grillo. Sean Cudia. Kenny Dow. Rich Fizz. You good tonight? All right. Dean Stengel, he's here. Tommy Luce. Chris Lopez, senior captain. Chris Lopez. Also known as King Lopez, which you like to call. Bill Maseko. Nick Morano. Frankie Messina. Blake Nikos. Oh man. I'll break that. I had to rip it off the wall to bring it here tonight. I'm already in trouble. Giddy, going up. Just a quick story about Giddy. I don't mean to embarrass him, but I'm going to. But it's not really embarrassment. Giddy came to me the first day of practice and said, "Coach, I don't know how to swim." Okay, we can work with that. Long story short, for 2 laps on our pool, we first started off going about 1 minute and 20 seconds. At the end of the season, brought it down to about 45 seconds, which is incredible. Jimmy, what up? DJ. Stephen O'Connor. Grady Olson. Nick Pizzo. Dave Smith. Come on up. Congrats.
There you go.
This
is what I ate.
And gentlemen who have received all league, which means they were top 3 within our league meet. Kyle, Andre, Dodger, 8th grader, Grady Olson, our second 8th grader, Chris Lopez, Frank Messina, and Luke is not here tonight. As cliche as it sounds, I mean, I'm very excited for next season because I have a very young team, 8th graders, 9th graders, 10th graders. Of course, we are losing Chris Lopez. He's going off to bigger and better things. Getting great here at Connetquot. But very excited, and these guys are gentlemen to every sense of the word. So, gentlemen, congratulations.
I haven't decided yet.
So where are you accepted so far?
St. John's and Washington College. Nice.
Alex? I have a question for you. You have a student that came to you and said he attended one of your, you let him join the team and
Yes.
that's amazing.
I don't know how to swim, maybe somebody needs to teach me.
Right? Right, Ms. Maniaci?
Are you ready?
You're ready to push down into the middle?
Sure.
Congratulations. Let's get a couple of rows. You two will be in my team forever. Eighth grade?
Hey, I'm right there too.
Coach, pressure's on next year. Hey, can you guys, move over? What's that? Boys and girls, boys. Ready, look here, ready, take a few, ready, 1, 2. All right, gonna stitch this one, so don't move. Ready? This way we get close. I've been watching 4th graders dance over at OBJ.
Thank you.
That's good stuff. Thank you so much.
Congratulations, guys. Great job. Great job. Thanks, ladies.
Whoever's holding, just stay here. She doesn't take up as much room. How you doing? I'm Joe
I know, I listen, I can't argue.
Only from,
Actually, if you open it, how old you are.
Just missed it. Be top.
No, you're good.
thanks, Joe.
Thank you, Joe.
Thanks, Joe.
Bye, everybody. Good night.
I should just do technology tonight too.
Well, they can be on 16.
Okay, we're moving over to student government, ladies.
Alright, so we had a blood drive last Thursday on March 3rd, and that was successful. And last Friday, we had our annual Crazy Sports Night, and we raised money for a local scholarship in memory of Doug Sposata. He was a science teacher at the high school. And then the sophomores are in preparation for their trip to Dorney Park, and the junior class is preparing for the junior cruise. And the senior class, we're going to begin selling tickets for the senior banquet, and that will be at 7 p.m. in the cafeteria on Thursday, March 31st, and the day after that in school during school hours, and they're $85 each.
Our student government spring egg hunt, which has become a tradition for us, is going to be March 19th. It's going to be focused towards the younger kids in the district and teachers, kids, or whoever else wants to join. It's $5 per child. The anti-bullying club, I believe, is going to be doing the Stay Awake Thon this year. I'm not sure if it's anti-bullying club, but it's going to be April 2nd to the 3rd. It's a Saturday night. We stay up and we raise money for a cause. We do little events. And then the town show at the high school, which is run by student government, is going to be April 22nd. And that's all.
What time is the end time?
Yeah,
11 o'clock in the morning.
Thank you.
that's all that we have.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Very much,
ladies.
ladies.
Okay, moving over to new business. We have two discussion items, EVOCs, nomination of a candidate, and building comparative budget. We're going to go to nomination of a candidate.
We do have someone from the community who is interested in serving on the Eastern Suffolk OC's board as a representative from Connetquot, the Connetquot School District. In front of you is her resume. It's Teresa McNamee. Most people know her as Terry McNamee. She's actually a Suffolk Community College professor, an adjunct assistant professor of mathematics, and she has this child.
And Farmingdale.
And Farmingdale College, that's true, that's right. I have her resume in front of you for if you're interested in nominating her to serve on the Eastern Suffolk OC Board.
I am. I'll do it. So you're going to nominate? I'll nominate. I'll second the nomination. Where is she?
Not here.
She's been there, isn't it?
Come later, I think, right?
to the steering committee last night, but she couldn't make it to the steering committee. She usually comes in.
All right, so I need a motion and a second.
All in favor?
All in favor? Aye. Okay, so we're moving over to the building comparative budget. I believe that would be Ms. Sharon Donnelly.
I could do it right here. Let me see if I can see it. Come in.
From them. From them. That's it.
Okay, good. Okay, stop flipping.
So this is a spreadsheet showing each individual school's budget allocation and how the principal of each school has elected to spread their allocation of the right of things. Their allocation is based on the enrollment they have in their school, projected enrollment for the budget year for next year. And we do give the principals the autonomy to decide how to allocate that money amongst their codes. I have some questions that I received from the board. Does anyone know how to make this fit on the screen? I don't see the reduced percent thing.
It's on. You're all the way to Sycamore.
Yeah, but there are no titles listing the budget codes.
We don't need budget codes.
All right, so all you're not seeing is, I guess, the title. Maybe I'll just finish it down one more.
Is this online anywhere, Sharon, or no? Because it will be?
So I'm going to read the questions from the board members, because I think they'll be similar to questions you would have. The first question is student participation. Can you explain what that is? The following sorts of things are budgeted to this code: the 11th grade college fair, foreign language honor society dinner, valedictorian luncheon, National Honor Society dinner, and youth leadership for the business conference. There was a question about the computer supplies at OBMS as compared to the same at RMS. RMS's is $1,500 higher. I just explained about how the principals have the autonomy to allocate according to the budget codes as they see fit. And it should be noted that the principals can do budget transfers between their codes and among their codes. The only exception being you cannot transfer money into an equipment code. You can transfer out, but during the year, should they fall short in a budgeted code, they can affect a budget transfer. Library books at OBMS and RMS, there's a $500 difference there. Again, that's the same explanation. They can budget their allocation according to their need. And additionally, the Curriculum and Instruction Office has provided for a library wish list both in 14-15, the current year, and that will happen again in 16-17, to supplement the librarians and reading teachers' choices for each school. Slocum and Boston have a similar student enrollment. Why does Boston have 1,000 in library and Slocum has 2,000? That's that same explanation again. Boston's budget for this code also is in line with its historical spending. And Slocum solely used the curriculum and instruction funding to purchase library books in 14-15. Cherokee has a significantly higher enrollment, and their allotment for library budget line is only 2,000. That's the same explanation again.
Is it easier to just do the ones that aren't an explanation of a principal's discretion,
Oh, that would be great.
rather than go through all these?
Yes,
'Cause,
thank you.
I mean, at this point, we gotta do that.
You got it.
Now they did it, most of them are principals, I didn't understand that at the start, that's why the questions came.
I didn't even
So-
get to yours yet.
No, I know, but that's what
So
I'm
members
saying,
have the
so
same-
obviously a lot of them are, I understand a principal's discretion, so can we go through the ones maybe that aren't principal's
Let's
discretion?
do. Excellent.
Save a little bit of talk.
Yes.
Save a
So,
little bit of talk, Sharon.
So Sharon, I mean, I guess because those were my questions, what I was looking for, equality and equity in the buildings.
Yes.
So when you leave RMS and OBMS, you're gonna have a very similar education experience, even on the curriculum and sports end. And so when they go into the high school, are they very similar, the experiences that both schools have?
I think you're asking two different questions.
Well, I think I know what Mylan's getting at. She's wanting to know beyond the allotments, are the children having the same experience and the same opportunities? So that when they arrive at the high school, they've had a similar education.
Because I understand that how they prorate or allot the monies, I know they do for different services and it's up to the discretion. But I just want to make sure that, like, for example, one of them was 18,000 for chaperones, whereas versus the other school had 10,000. So is it saying one school is doing more field trips? And if so, why aren't people competitive on that same
Well,
line
I'll
item?
touch on the curriculum instruction component. Each building, again, has the autonomy to purchase supplies for their classroom teachers that they feel meet the needs of the kids with regards to the curriculum that they're offering. As what we offer from classroom to classroom, the experience is the same. We've standardized the curriculum. We've made sure that the expectations of each grade level are the same across the district. So the experience children are getting on one side of town is exactly the same as the other side of town. But there are some differences that we allow for the principals to allot for based upon some items that teachers feel are important to supplement the curriculum. Overall, the large curriculum purchases are purchased from my office. We do all of the orders that come through and I approve them. So there is a standardization to make sure that whatever they're ordering for their staff is aligned with the curriculum goals and initiatives of the Connetquot.
So I guess it also leads me to the other question of the chaperone pay. You have one school at 18,000, one at 10. So that concerns me too. That's not sharing the same experiences.
And you can see by Mrs. Donnelly's notes that there are differences in some of the offerings that OBMS has for extracurricular. We're going to meet with the principals to see if we can standardize that.
Thank you, that's what I'm
But
saying.
isn't an example being, say, around Connetquot, they have a staff that puts together an awesome set for their play. I mean, awesome.
Well, they both have plays, but there
But,
are,
well, I mean, this is going, I think, going to the question, the one spends a lot more money, I'm sure, on a play, but that has nothing to do with the education, that has to that's a building, process. I mean, that's what this woman loves to do, this teacher just goes all
No,
out.
the
for that.
chaperone pay has to do directly, that's field trips, that's directly.
Right, but there are teachers that want to take their kids on field trips, and there are teachers that do not.
But I'd like to have both schools have the same, a very similar experience.
I don't know if you can force teachers.
It's not, and sorry to interrupt, but the field trip piece is a little bit different. Field trips and what we're talking about right here are activities that are happening at the school. So dances, different events. We listed some of them out here, which is,
OBMS uses chaperones for their bowling fundraiser, musical idol concerts, honor society inductions, movie night, dress rehearsals for school plays, concerts, plays, and dances. And Ron uses chaperones for dances, plays, locker room supervision, and there do seem to be more events at OBMS, and I think that does need to be discussed with the principals.
Does it say on the one with their play as well?
There are plays for both, is that what you asked?
Yes. So this is not actual field trips?
No.
Sorry, did you have
No, that's fine. The Lego expenses are covering the costs of that program, and they are equalized between the two buildings. Is there concern that there's not enough? Have you heard feedback that's not enough?
I'm just a little concerned because you're only investing $500 into Legos at the middle school.
Oh, there are other amounts too for Legos.
No, just the middle school level I'm looking at.
It's just $22.50 per month. The total, the membership, the Legos,
Those are the actual supplies. Once you have purchased the major kit, which is the first investment that you have to make, the Lego supplies are very limited for the rest of the competitions. So the $1,000 equipment would be if they needed a new computer potentially because the computer was or they were going to build another Lego robot. $500 is plenty under the Lego supplies.
Just want to make sure.
Yeah, there's actually $2,050 per school.
Right.
There's a question about Slocum principal supplies, and even though that falls under that, they can allocate according to need. That one is particularly high, and that's because he has a need for some furniture. Conference room chairs, office guest chairs, folding tables, folding chairs, and the like. There's a question about the co-curricular, the clubs, and why we're only budgeting $125,000, even though the board approved those 2 additional clubs.
It's actually 4.
4. At this point, we have an administrator at the high school who's going to be reporting back on the analysis of the club's activities, all the club's activities. And we also have the internal auditors looking at our clubs for participation and to analyze if all of them are viable and should continue running, so we can get the information back to the board that the board requested before considering the increase in this line item,
So I'll also get that answer
before the budget is final. We talked about the chaperones.
Can I just get the board's feeling on this? Because if the board wants us to stay at that 125, then we will certainly look to cut the clubs to get that underneath that. I just want to know if the board is interested in doing that or holding that line, which has stayed the same for the last 3 years, or increasing that to support what we have right now. Even if we get that analysis, I'm not sure that within the first year of a new principal and the analysis coming through, if it's going to really give us real information about how each club is viable. So I would like to kind of get a direction from the board, if you don't mind, as to whether or not you want to increase that code, which has remained flat for the last how many years, Sharon? At
Well,
least
what
2 or
did
3
you
years.
spend so far this year?
We will expend over $137,000 this year with the salaries, with the 2 new pilot clubs that you folks voted on a couple weeks ago. So I just, I really kind of need to get a direction from the
So
board.
if we wanted 137,000, that would cover everything as the way it stands right now, correct?
It's probably a little bit more than that because we only did half a year for the 2 pilots. So we
what
could
would
get
we
you
do?
that, it's about 140.
So if we approve 140, but if you find clubs that aren't running, we can take, we don't have to spend.
We don't have to hire a person to chaperone that.
Well, if the board approve these clubs, you're not taking them away now, are you?
That's
asking
kind
the
of why I
board.
need the direction of the board on this one, because that code has remained flat for 3 or 4 years. The salaries have gone up a little bit, although the salary next year is at a 0 increase in the CBA. So I just would like to get the feeling of the board whether you want us to move that up to the 137 to 140, which would support every club. And then if there's a club that's not viable and kids wanted to start a different club next year, there might be money left to have some wiggle room and some options for kids to come forward.
No, actually, I'll take the blame for that one.
Well, they agreed with you though.
Yeah, I'll take the blame
You
for this one.
can't take it from the board.
You only create it if you agree to up it right now. If you leave it where it is,
No,
I create it.
because you didn't want to hurt his issue, you'll hurt him next year.
Yeah,
No, there's some,
No, I want
some clubs that
I want
aren't,
to take a
that
hard
might not
look
be
at it
operating.
But Linda just said that we don't
Force
know
the
that.
hand of making sure that every club is viable.
Well, that's where I came
That's
from.
really what our stance was from the beginning, was doing an analysis and making sure that every club is viable. I'm not ready to argue now because this information, so I don't know. They come back to me and every club is viable, that's a consideration. At this point, I'd like to kind of force the hand and make them try to fit within that. Maybe we only have to 5,000, maybe we have to 7, I don't know where we're gonna go, but I'd like to get the information that we have.
Mr. Weber, your thoughts? The last few years, we've had our budget line for clubs at 125. From September, which was about 2 months ago, we were presented 4 new clubs, which the board did, which now then exceeded our budget of 125 and brought it closer to 137. The 2 of the clubs that we approved are on the second semester, so they're not a full year as of now, and we're for $2,500. To have it for a full semester, for a full year semester, we'll be at 5,000, so we'll bring up our budget to 140. The 4 clubs that we added on this year was freshman awareness, the anti-bullying club, comic book club, and we also put on the conservation club. So what the board had to do was to give the permission to pierce the cap, 125 for last year. Now we're moving into this, we don't want to pierce that anymore, so 125 is enough, or is 140 enough? So what Nick is saying is that we need more information from Constance to see if a lot of these clubs are viable or not, or are we back to the 124, or do we go to 140? So, I know I'm kind of pushing you, so.
Well, as a principal, I would tend to agree. I would like to hear what the principal has to say about the clubs, and how it's changed the building, and is it worth the money that you're going to invest in?
Can you make sure that Mr. Weber gets a list of the clubs that we have?
Sure, I can
Have
send
we,
it.
I know we talked in the past when we had this discussion about gathering more information and also making it clear, and I don't know if this was done, if we put out a memo, to the club advisors that they need to follow the procedures of filing their lists with the students, getting it to county on time, because apparently in the past, that hasn't been the practice.
Right.
And there's still 15 weeks left in the school year. So that's 15 weeks of them filing their papers properly and us getting information back at the end of the year to determine, or has any of that occurred at this point? We talked about this,
Should be an easy
we
process.
talked about this 6-8 weeks ago.
We have an AP who gathered all that information. I believe I sent it to you a while back.
It was incomplete.
There were pieces that were
Right,
incomplete.
there was plenty of pieces that were missing.
Right. Well, the one that I sent you was the paperwork that had been filed last year, so that was
So
really
the one that I
incomplete.
saw.
But the AP actually did a pretty good job. There were 2 or 3 clubs that hadn't reported to her how many kids they saw on a regular basis. I can certainly send it to you in this week's FYI.
So can you speak to Mr. Costa and see if he has some more
So
viable?
we have made that clear.
Yes,
That has been made clear to the advisors.
absolutely. Yes.
So,
Memos went out to
so we
providers.
decided in 2 weeks or 3 weeks to look at the records we've received for the past 3 months, 2 months.
Right.
They should be fairly accurate as to who's been in the clubs, who's attending, the attendance lists.
Yep.
And we can kind of do a little bit of an
If we don't
analysis to
get
make
an
a decision.
attendance list, it means maybe the club is not that valuable, so
Exactly.
maybe that.
Either that or the-
So if an advisor is doing a club that he feels it's viable, then we need to get those
At
attendance.
least we can then have the administrator maybe find out more information and get something to the question.
Okay.
You know, I'm not saying I'm ready to eliminate a club just because the attendance isn't there, or maybe they made a mistake, I don't want to hurt the children. But at that point, if we see a pattern of this isn't happening, then obviously the next question is, Kenny, do you know what's going on with this club?
Wasn't
Can
part of
you
the
find out
charter,
what's
if you
going
have
on?
16, I'm giving an example, say 20 children, if that's your charter that you're going to service 20 children, can you use the attendance sheets to back their support?
I would think so, it's part of the charter.
And I don't think we actually got to
But
see the
yeah,
charter.
I think the principal needs to, at some point, if we have questions about the certain clubs, say, you know, either gather more information for us or before we eliminate something. Yeah. Or ask his opinion, you know, what's going on in your building? What is this club, you know, have you checked, you've seen what's going on, has someone checked in on it? One of the administrators popped in and said, it is, you know, there's 2 kids in here. What's going on? We're paying for a club that has 16, but there's only 3.
Right.
So I think that was what we asked for
Yes, we
a
did.
couple of months ago. That's really where, I don't want to eliminate a club from, just because someone made a mistake and there's kids there. That's not my goal.
Right, no.
And there's also then an opportunity to add another club.
Yeah.
That would be viable.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure there's gonna be other clubs that come in the future too that will kind of be so.
Maybe the other question would be to Mr. Costa as well, is he interested in any future clubs as well? And what is his thoughts on having the budget stay at 125 versus say maybe 140, which we actually would probably be spending if we maintain the clubs we have now?
Listen, he may, after 6 months of being in his building, he may have a feel for the fact that there are certain clubs that aren't attended more, or just don't work, or aren't, you know, part of the culture anymore.
I think they're doing that right now.
They are.
So that's what we
One of
need.
the APs has been
We
charging.
need that information before I think really can even make that,
Okay.
unfortunately, make a
Plus,
decision.
aren't we being, the internal auditor is going over the whole thing also, so we're getting.
That won't happen until next year.
Lee, we need your volume. Thank you. You
I've
spoke
seen
very
yellow,
low.
And I've seen green, I've seen red, but I don't know what yellow means.
It's on, it's on.
What does orange mean? It's red is off.
You just turned it on.
Want to get an updated list?
Green is not, what's yellow? Orange.
Press it down again. It's a pause.
Okay, so I'm moving down to number 23. I'm skipping a lot of the ones that don't pertain to this building spreadsheet. But 23 does. Someone asked about the projected enrollment in the high school for the next 3 years. The short answer is it's 2,052 for this coming year. The next year is 2,014 students. And then 18-19, the 18-19 school year is 1,967 students projected. And you can see Mr. Annucci's, I incorporated his spreadsheet right there of how those numbers were derived. There was a question about library periodicals. I spoke to an elementary school principal and a middle school principal about this. The elementary principal said that their technology is currently in a transition phase, so they don't at this moment have the availability of online subscriptions for access in schools.
Yes.
It's the discretionary.
Okay, so, and that's part of the technology plan, correct?
Yes.
The middle school principal conferred with her librarian, and the librarian said the entire periodical budget is hard copy. Any online journal does not come out of this budget line. Online periodicals and databases are from the virtual reference collection, which is purchased through BOCES. She and the teachers use the virtual reference collection often. The principal is interested in this suggestion, though, and is looking into it since they order about 24 different magazines and newspapers. There was a question about the instructional equipment for the science research being higher than the equipment allotted for the high school. This science research is a new program. There are supplies and equipment which are needed to fund the research projects that the students choose. This year, the students are doing DNA work, and purchases were made of micropipettes, a thermocycler, and a water bath. There was also a zebra fish project and a research project involving enzymes, for which a special refrigerator needs to be purchased so that the enzymes do not end up being destroyed, which would ruin the entire project after months of student work. They purchased Probeware to take data electronically according to settings set by the students, so that, say, every 10 or 30 seconds, data is automatically recorded for the project, thereby covering the data gathering throughout the weekend and nights. And that sums it up.
I guess what I need to go on because they ask the same question basically. The principal's out, there. So I guess my question now is, based on knowing that, which I wasn't fully aware of at the time, how do we come up with the number that they are actually allocated? Because when I did the math, I'm doing it as a cost analysis, basically the range goes from about $94.47 a student at idle hour, if you take their amount they're spending per student, right, based on this, to $101.75, the highest at Sycamore. And that's the difference I got. So my question is, how do we come up with those numbers that we're allocating, that it's not, and I realize it can't be 100% perfect across the board, but that seems to be, a significant difference from the low to the high of $6, $7 per $6 and change per student, where when you look at the middle schools are within 13 cents of each other.
Yeah, I should have explained how the allocations arrived. It's based on the general ed population in each school, then there's a higher allocation for special ed and E&L students.
Okay, I got it. That would explain the difference. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
It works.
Thank you, Sharon, for answering all questions.
You're welcome.
If the board has any questions, please email Ms. Donnelly. I can hold 2 weeks before we adopt the budget so that she can answer all your questions thoroughly. Mr. Grable, you may want to sit down with Sharon one day, just, so she can catch up on the budget. I know you're coming in late. If you don't mind Sharon sitting in with us for a few minutes,
I have one more question for Sharon. Is it the DNL also allocated differently?
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so we're moving over to policy. Okay, we have adoption. We have the second reading on the adoption, so we have school district records, policy 4326, which is programs for English language learners. We have 6900 for disposal of district inventory revised, and 8121 opioid overdose prevention.
This is the second.
This is the second one.
This is adoption.
So I'm looking for a motion and a second.
Motion.
Second. All in favor? Is there anything on the review? We have the senior citizen and persons with disabilities exemption document. Need a motion and a second?
That's just consensus.
Consensus on this? Okay, so I'm going to take a motion and a second for this. All motion? Second? All in favor? Okay, do we have anything on the acknowledgement?
Yes.
Okay, testing programs, 3720. Resolved that the Board of Education approve the second reading of policy presented for abolishment as enumerated below. Need a motion? Motion. Second? I'll second it. All in favor? Okay, we're moving over to public participation, public comment. Step up to the podium, address the board president only. You may address one or more topics in the time allotted. Individual employees, parents, or children should not be identified by name, title, position, grade, or building. For safety, please exit from the podium after your time has concluded via the front of the podium and circle around to the left or the right. Good evening, Ms. Connetquot.
Good evening. Hi, welcome.
Thank you.
First question is about you. So since there was no public discussion on the appointment of this new board member, and this is nothing against you, it's just my questions. I explained to you out in the lobby that I am the PETA. I wanted to know what what qualifications did the board look for when they appointed Mr. Grable? Does this person volunteer for any groups in the community? Was this question asked? Is this person backed by the CTA? Is this person for or against opting out?
You know, we do things like clubs, although that's not a significant amount of money, but it just changes the whole atmosphere. We've been in a position that we've been able to maintain our buildings by continually having the ability to save via a capital reserve and then have capital projects. That's why our buildings look the way they look. That saves on maintenance costs over the years if you make those investments, which are necessary for heating and all sorts of structural things. You have to start to have conversations like you have when you put together a contingency budget every year, where you have to look at across the board cuts in all categories. I mean, eventually it gets bleak after you run out your reserves, and there's also the impact of, yes, you lose the differential potentially between last year's state aid and this year's, that being this year's increase. But forevermore, your base is at a lower amount. So there's a compounding effect. So, you know, it just gets worse and worse. You become in fiscal stress. That sort of outlook. But it does sound promising, you know, that the negotiations seem to be going positively. I hope so. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Gabriel.
Thank you.
The total was 265.
Oh, I got 264.
I have 265.
Yeah, I did too.
I made a mistake.
We want
Math
you
teacher.
anyway.
I have 265.
I didn't use my fingers.
Sorry. Are you allowing us to use the rest
Is
of
there
the
any other
minutes?
questions?
I have more questions if you all.
Are
She
you
does
looking for
first.
answers, Eileen, or are you just putting out questions? Because I'd like to answer your questions. And I think if you have questions, the public should know the answers to your questions.
Okay.
So, but according to.
I have so many though, and I don't have 3 minutes to get through all of them. So if you want to answer them after I'm done reading them all, then sure. I need another 3 minutes to finish them, and then you can answer whatever you'd like. But Terry's going first, and you only did 4 people now, so
Okay, Terry.
Terry will be 5. That's still only 15 minutes. Do we get another 15?
There's a second participation at the end.
I know, but then they want to answer the questions.
Okay, I guess this is my only opportunity to address the board with regard to the petition circulating to increase the number of trustees from 5 to 7. It's due on March 18th. It will have sufficient and excess of 135 registered eligible voters. I'm trying to get the terminology right. So this is really the only opportunity I have to speak with the board before you vote, seeing where the comment period falls. Or we have a chance to comment at the next Board of Ed meeting before you vote. So I do know from our discussion 2 weeks ago, 2 members of the board have voiced their disagreement with the petition. However, I urge the 5 of you to allow the issue to be decided by the taxpayers in the district. The petition only gets it on the ballot, and I'd like to put it to the taxpayers to say yes or no whether they feel that 7 board members is the best for Connetquot.
Or not.
So if it is passed and the number of Board of Ed seats are increased to 7, the 2 additional seats must be filled during special election, as Andrea had stated at the last meeting. We went deep into the education law, and there is no choice. If we were a different type of district, it would be on the next year, but we're not that tight district, so. We also hoped that there was another option, but there's not. And unfortunately, this petition for approval of 2 additional board members will incur a non-budgeted cost of approximately $23,000.
That's inaccurate. We did a cost analysis, maybe more like $45,000.
Could I get a breakdown of that, please? Would that be possible?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
So what is that, 2/100ths of a percent?
So $43,000, which is a one-time cost, but it's not a budgeted line item because it's a one-time, and the budget would already have been passed or defeated, I should say. And so that's not really an issue with regard to the budget. But when we look at our $180 million budget, it's a mere
Now is it 2/100ths?
less than, I'll put it this way, less than 0.1% of our budget. And also the 2 positions are filled by volunteers, they're not paid positions, which a lot of the residents of the district aren't really aware of. So my opinion is that the 7 members of the board will benefit the district through the collaboration of 2 more individuals with 2 more sets of knowledge skills. For a district our size, budgets and number of students also have been, for districts that are our size, and our budget, that's the first?
Yes.
Did I really?
Yes. You can finish your sentence. but-
Okay. Basically, I've spoken to other Board of Ed trustees. I've also worked on boards as small as 3 and as large as 9. And I've been in charge of those boards. And the more people there are, the more help you find, the more knowledge you have, and the more gets done. So having more members allow growth for the biggest benefit to the community, and I'd like it to be put to the voters to feel like they think it is worth it.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
So that was 5 speakers. You gonna let me speak again, Mylene? Yes? I should finish the next sooner. Okay, so this is now the 5th meeting for 10 weeks that I did not receive email answers for the following. The other ones I did. The procedures, practice, and regulations, which are all different from policy. Parents and taxpayers have not been advised as to how they can obtain this information. All 3 terms have been cited by the administration and the board on many occasions. As a parent and a taxpayer, I want the right to access this information, and to date, I have not received an answer as to where these books or files are, or if they are different for each school, who makes these PPRs, and where we can view them. Other people have made comments or asked questions, and there are oftentimes answers given verbally from the BOE, and now that we are on video, we can hear those. However, there are many times I have reviewed the videos and noticed that the comments and questions are not addressed. When it's asked in public, the board should respond in kind and post it somewhere for the entire community to have that information. I also requested that you explain to the public that when you answer questions that they pose, you're taking the public's time to comment. Since we only have 30 minutes, I'd like to be able to use those 30 minutes. Over the years, the public comment has been changed 10 times, and most of those changes were to reduce public input. If the public has 30 minutes twice each meeting, that means you should allow 20 people their time. Last week, you commented that some meeting will only have 1 public portion. So I reviewed the videos, and there was no mention of this, no discussion. Was that just for that meeting, or have you decided as a board that to now reduce public comment further at certain meetings? Finally, the AP exam. I did receive the response to this and a copy of the letter that was sent in September. However, as you know, my letters don't always get to me due to the circumstances of my child's enrollment in the STEM high school. I don't think most parents are aware that the weighted average goes down if the exam is not taken. If a child has been accepted into a college that does not take the AP credit, why should this child be penalized with a lower weighted average for not taking an exam that won't earn them credit? And why should they have to pay for an exam to get a higher weighted average if the college doesn't accept it? So those were all my questions, so feel free to answer. As long as we're not taking it from the public. I will email you, because I have some other notes on here that missing, so I will email you everything.
Okay, that'd be great.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thanks.
Does anybody else have
I'm
any
gonna put them on the
questions?
Facebook page, and I'll put it on the YouTube page as well.
Any other questions? Going once, going twice? Okay, we're moving over to recommendation action, which is personnel matters. We have a schedule, resignation, termination, leaves of absence. I need a motion and a second. Motion. I'll second it. All in favor? Aye. I Okay, we're moving over to appointments, tenure and salary changes. I need a motion and a second. I'll motion it too. All in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we're moving over to resignation terminations. I don't believe there's anything underneath that. Yes, I am. Okay, we just approved Linda for a 3-year extension on your contract. Am I allowed to say that?
Wait, did she accept? Wait a second, did she accept?
Well, she wouldn't be here right now.
I'm clapping.
It wouldn't be on the agenda if she
Okay,
didn't.
all
I
right.
have to sign first. They
Okay.
accept, they accept.
All right, yeah.
So I am delighted.
Congratulations, Linda, and thank you for staying on.
The work that we're doing is well worth the effort. The changes that we're making for our kids on a daily basis, it's just wonderful. The community input, the different committees, the things that we've done. So I thank you all for recognizing that work and allowing me to continue it.
Keep up the good work.
You could get up there.
You want to see Tony hug you? That would be nice.
He's not getting up.
Come on, Lee, get up. Although I was the only one that's gonna get up. Yeah, I'm gonna do it. Yeah, I'll be proper and stand, because I made everybody else stand. Okay, so we're moving over to financial matters.
Can we also announce to Terry that we've nominated her?
Oh, yes, that's
Since
she
she wasn't here.
I texted her immediately.
So
No,
thank you, Terry.
Thank you, Terry.
I really, I truly appreciate the Connetquot voice being nominated for the BOCES board. I think
That
that's
doesn't mean that she's on now, she's just nominated,
She's
right?
nominated, yeah.
And then they have
to
to-
the
I believe
BOCES
there's
board.
6 open seats. I did my little digging and research. I don't usually say yes to something or put my name up for something unless I know about it. But, I've been teaching for an apprentice program for, 8 years at least. So I know what it's worth, those union jobs and stuff.
Yes. We
I'm glad to be
appreciate
a part of it.
it. Thank you, Terry.
Thank you, I'm honored, thank you.
Yeah, it's special election.
All right, so moving on to financial matters. Items 2, 3, 6, I need a motion, and then we can have a discussion. Motion. I'll second the motion. Any questions?
Because of the lack of snow this
Yeah, really.
year, allocated X amount of money out of that.
We did have that blizzard, and then
That was one. Last year we had about 5.
overall, compared to last year, we're up almost 7%.
Really?
That's largely due to printing projects that are causing overtime, technology overtime that's caused by the smart board installation, being down a person in the business office, overtime in the HR department due to trainings and transitions of staff there, as well as transitioning over to a new financial software, which is affecting the business department and the HR department. Payroll department had overtime related to retro from settled contracts. What else do we have? Those are the big numbers.
Okay, all in favor? Mr. Grable, you can abstain because, if you want, this would have really given you a chance to see.
Understood.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Okay, we're moving over to this consent agenda. We have items 2 through 14. I need a motion and a second, and we can have a discussion.
Motion.
I'll second it. Any questions? What do they do at Woodloch Resort?
That's actually an officer's training workshop.
Woodlock Pines,
Yes.
it's the student council. It's a planning meeting and bonding experience for the officers of that trip. They haven't done it the past couple of years, and they asked to reinstitute that trip for this
How
group.
many students attend?
I think it's 12,
That's what I saw. And how many chaperones?
3.
Yeah, Lee, any questions? No, we're good. Boys, any questions? Right? Okay, so all in favor? Okay, we're moving over to reports, Board of Education committees.
Steering committee. Basically, they talk about technology, they're doing their plans, 3-year plan, a 5-year plan, what money they're coming from BOCES, and what money that they're borrowing. And it sounds like we are going in the right direction. And we're getting a lot of our infrastructure updated, as well as getting new computers. Every year a little something different. And we're looking ahead, we're moving ahead. I think that was one thought. And then we had the task force meeting, we were talking about the issue at the high school, what we could do to address it, who should we address it to, and how we're going to work together as a community to make it fixable. Make everyone understand their responsibility. We're working with the high school principal, our YFS staff, of course, the administration. So I think we're going to have a plan in place that will be worthwhile, and we will all learn from it.
Anybody else have anything to report? Right, Nick? Okay, we're moving over to superintendent of schools.
So I was absolutely delighted at the Mark Woods concert last week. It was really exciting to see all the orchestra kids really rock out to some fun music, as you got to see a little bit earlier. And I have a couple other clips if you want to stay later and see some more. It was really wonderful. They felt so special, and he will be coming back next year. It was supported by Orba, and so it was at no cost to the district. We have wonderful parent organizations, and one of the things that they do and bring these kind of things to our kids, so that was really wonderful. We had a pretty good turnout for that. I would say about 500 people.
Kids are awesome.
That's right.
And the kids
were fun.
amazing. It was just so much fun. Mark Woods would like to come back next year and do a bigger presentation, bring in the band and the chorus as well, kind of get the whole music group together to just feel that experience of being part of a rock concert. So that was really exciting.
You said his wife would come back next year as well, because she's a vocal instructor?
Yes.
So they can call her bringing in the choir.
Bringing in the whole, yeah.
The kids were absolutely phenomenal. I mean, you all know, if you heard his Siberian Orchestra, you know Mark Wood is phenomenal. But outside of that, the kids were, it was amazing. It was literally like being at a concert, and it sounded like that. I left going, most things you go to, you feel like you leave going, oh, I bought my money back. I left going, I should pay someone. Because it was that,
that's
it was
big, that's
that,
all the high school
it was that good.
concerts are.
That's
It
what
was
I-
That's how all
literally
the
that
high
good.
school concerts are.
It was awesome.
Our high school concerts are amazing.
It was exciting.
It was great. We have an opportunity in the district for USA Basketball in conjunction with the Nike Corporation to bring free basketball clinics to our students in the district. And that's one of the things that I just would like to have, just put board consensus if you would.
Yes, I.
Okay, good, thank you. So that Wonderful. So that will be starting next week.
Can you just go a little bit of detail about Mr. Radel, because he didn't have the opportunity to read your FYI.
Sure. We were actually approached by USA Basketball. They'd like to come into the area and provide free clinics to, first to our coaches, to enhance their capacity and their skill set, and then our coaches would actually coach kids free of charge. They pick up all the costs for everything. And it can actually start in the middle of March, which was worrisome to me because we have such great sports in the spring. Mr. Delcave will schedule to make sure that all kids can participate. So it's really kind of an exciting event, and I think Mr. Delcave is most excited because he gets a free pair of Nikes, but I won't say that out loud.
Is it just at the high schools or all ages?
It's all ages, yeah, from I think third grade up.
Can you tell me about that shooting down range thing? What is that? What was that all about? Shooting range?
I was wondering what you were asking.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of what you were asking either.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what you were asking either.
What was that? Did I read it wrong?
You must have read something wrong, because I believe, yeah.
Yeah.
I
From
think
my
you read it
FYI,
wrong.
yeah, when you wrote that back, I didn't understand what you were asking.
I'll read it again.
Okay.
I thought I saw that.
They used to help me on that one, I'm like, I meant to ask you what that question was.
So I want to reiterate what Mrs. Kennedy said about the steering committee. We actually opened up the steering committee yesterday for participation from students, community residents, and other folks who normally don't attend our steering committee meeting as part of the Smart Schools Bond, which was voted on by the taxpayers in New York State in November 2014. One of the things that we do as a district is we put together a plan in order to expense the funds that come at no taxpayer impact. So we put together a technology plan. Mr. Middleman has met with every single teacher in the district, to be honest, to talk about it. Mr. Davis has lived it for multiple years, and we put on a presentation that really walks everybody through the plan and how we want to use different funding streams. That will be presented to the Board of Education on March 22nd at our next meeting. That plan will then be put on the website for a comment period of 30 days. Once that comment period is over, we will pull that off the website, and we will actually do a hearing on that, so that way anybody in the public can come and discuss and talk about the project and the plan itself. And after that, we will be able to start the projects in the district. One of the things that's wonderful about the plan that we put together is we were ahead of the game in Connetquot, as we always are with our buildings and facilities. We recognize the need to increase the infrastructure because we knew that computer-based testing is coming down the pipe. We were talking about bring your own devices and one-to-one initiatives and all the kind of things that are going on in the technology world today. And that was actually put in front of the voters in the March 2014 capital project, which was approved. So that actually project commenced with a technology component and an upgrade of our telephone system and a lot of other HVAC infrastructure type of issues. What's wonderful is that we can take that capital project and actually expand the HVAC issues and accomplish more with the different issues that we're seeing in buildings and pull the phones and the technology into the smart schools, which has no taxpayer impact. So I think it's a really well thought out plan, and I can't wait to present it to you folks in 2 weeks. We did have a task force meeting. And we did have Grace McGinnis actually came as well as Julia Abenanza, who were our student reps, and Julia was wonderful. Is Augie there?
Right here.
She was probably the only one in the room that asked questions, and she was spot on with some of the things that she had to say. So it was wonderful that she joined us.
Does it surprise you who her father is?
I actually asked her by name for Mr. Costa, and if you can get Julia Abenanza, I'm excited to have her there. So I was glad.
She's a great kid.
We also have. We had a task force meeting, which, the timing is always interesting because we know we had an incident last week involving our high school, and we had already, Mrs. Manzi, myself, and Ms. Santo had already contracted with a meeting with the Youth Enrichment Services Bureau, which is part of the town of Iceland, that comes and helps schools build programs that are free for our kids for all different kinds of reasons. Prevention, good choices, character education, and so we had already had a meeting together, so we were really excited by some of the programs that they have spoken to us about, and I will be presenting a couple of them to you folks either March or April because they're actually looking to get a grant from the town of Islip to run an after-school program in our middle school. Right now, the funding would only allow us to have it in one middle school. Personally, I don't think that's appropriate. If you're gonna give us a program like that, it needs to be at both middle schools. So I would myself go to legislation and say, you can't just fund one. So, but I will talk to you about that. It's really good opportunity for enrichment of our 6th, 7th, and 8th graders who are really way too young to be home alone for the amount of hours that they're home alone. I have to. It's wonderful. Yeah, it's
They
in a
were
lot of
actually just in our
places.
building today. They brought Uncle Adams to speak.
Yes.
Who do this presentation. So yes, program's awesome.
There.
It's a vital part of after school. I think the children there. Just
Yeah, and that's why we want to bring it here, so that's another thing we're moving forward with. I'm going to call out Mrs. Kennedy sitting back over there because she was wonderful the other night, representing Connetquot and her son and all of the special needs students that are in our high schools and high schools across New York State, because the graduation credentials have actually diminished. The ability for our special needs students across the state had diminished in the changing regulations in the state education department, and Mrs. Kennedy was wonderful. And of course, she gave me more work, which Mrs. Kennedy's want to do, but it's okay.
But this is
it's perfect. I actually have reached out to Legislator Ra and Legislator Graff, and I am putting together a roundtable of assistant superintendents of special education and superintendents to help draft bills that will help our special needs students get the credentials that they need to have successful lives after they leave high school. So thank you for doing that. I also presented to CFAC this week regarding the creation of a coalition. In order for us to access funding sources that are not that we cannot at this moment access for a variety of different programs. And it's come up at both the steering committee and at the task force regarding the idea that there are things that we need to bring to our community that cannot be under the umbrella of the school district. And so I actually presented to CFAC yesterday, and they are more than interested in being an umbrella organization to begin the coalition, which is another thing that we were speaking to the YESBS workers about, because they actually help build that coalition within school districts. So we've got a lot of things going on, and good things are going on here, so thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Sharon, Lee, Rob, Michael. Okay, great. Any Board of Education comments?
Yes. I have a couple of questions, or just things I want to bring up. I have questions about youth teams, Connetquot youth teams, playing at the high school, on the fields, on the turf fields. So can we maybe at the next board meeting, ask Mr. Delegate to come? Sure. We can ask him to just supply us information. Which Connetquot youth teams play there now, or like in the past 2 years?
So what do you mean, are you talking about like, I'm just gonna throw St. John's out there, is that what you're referencing?
Well, to see if they're playing there now?
No, I'm just.
Oh, no, I'm thinking about Connetquot youth football.
Okay.
I know they expressed interest to play there. Connetquot youth lacrosse, maybe soccer. And I know a couple of programs have asked in the past 2 years if they can have games played there, and they were told no. So I just want to see if we can make that happen.
Okay, so do you want me to get information from Mr.
Well, the
Delegate?
information, I guess, would be which organizations are allowed to use the fields at the present time.
a specific field or?
The turf, yeah, turf fields.
There have been some youth groups using the turf fields.
Turf fields.
What was your other question?
Has it ever been brought up, any question about the high school start time? Has it been brought up in the last 5 years? I just think it's, I just don't understand why a 9th grade student up to 12th grade why we would want them at a bus stop at 6:20 in the morning.
Lee, maybe you can remember this, because I know when I moved into the district, I think they were in a transition, like the elementary.
It has to do with busing.
It also has to do with parents and the children, the older children watching the younger children.
Lee, can you
At
answer
the end of the day.
I think it's mostly busing.
Yeah, but I thought when I moved here, that they were going to change the schedule. So when, I think for 3 years, it was gonna be high school, middle school, and then elementary, and then I thought they were gonna change it 3 years after, or 5 years after. I thought they were gonna change it. Yeah, you know what I'm referring to, Lee.
What you're remembering is, there are certain schools that started later, there's some elementary schools that started earlier. And they were supposed to switch after 3 years, but the way it is really the way Cherokee stands. Cherokee's the one that.
Also, it only affected the elementary level?
Yeah, it didn't affect
Oh,
that.
okay.
Yeah, they used to rotate on the elementary level.
One rotation.
Well, just-
Yeah, one rotation.
I'm only bringing it up because well, I feel that way, and people that I talk to, it seems like everyone says that, yeah, it's way too early. So it's just, the people that I run into when I speak
Well,
to,
some of the things that are a problem,
They have
if
that-
they were the ones that came in last, by the time they would do their sports, it would be dark. So
That's right, I do remember that, yeah.
I know everyone brings that up, but really, I don't think, I'm just saying, I don't think that would be a problem. But so can we look into it? Like, can we start the conversation, just maybe?
In your past years of being on the board, has it ever been looked at?
Not to make it late, no.
Can someone
Yeah,
tell
but
me?
there has been conversation that's early start, it's conversation that's early start.
What time does the first class at the high school begin? Anyone know?
7:18.
7:18. Why does the child need to be at a bus stop an hour earlier?
Because you can't get into the high school, and you can't get out of the high school, so the buses can't get to
All right,
it.
Yup, child. All right.
No, we're not.
That's the whole problem in a nutshell.
So my other question was,
Can't get in or out.
2 more days.
But I think Lee is right about that, because of the sports that are happening at the school and things
Other
like
schools
saving
get out,
time.
other schools get out later, so.
Sports normally don't stop.
Exactly.
Game time.
Exactly.
So we need an hour travel time. So it's still not.
You can make it work, even if it was like 15 minutes, 20 minutes, like.
So then are you suggesting that the middle school be there at 6:30 in the morning? That is 6:30, the middle school kids be
No,
there?
no one should be at a bus stop at 6:20 in the morning.
So then what are you suggesting? Because if you change
Everyone will be
the
later.
it changes everybody, it affects everybody.
You know, parents have to go to work too, and their kids are going in at 10 o'clock now.
Is there any lag time between the high school
Exactly.
run
So now
and
you
the middle
have
school run?
buses coming in at
Is
7:20.
literally right to the next bus run?
At
Do they
8:20.
know?
No, the middle school started
The conversation should be among the board.
Does anybody up here know whether or not the bus runs are immediately finished at the high school and then proceed to the middle school without any lag time?
Yes, and now you're talking
everybody
about
knows.
everybody would be moving. So what you're saying, Craig, is that the high schoolers would be on the bus at 9:20? Because if you have the middle schoolers starting on the, no, I'm just saying, that's the other way to look at it. So you have middle schools are on their buses at 7:30. You have elementaries on the bus at, say, 8:20, whatever you know. So then you're saying 7:20 is too, 6:20 is too early. So then your other slot would be 9:20.
I was saying, instead of being at the bus stop at 6:20, even if they were at the bus stop at 6:45.
It's
Now you're not in the
traffic
dark.
getting into the bus.
So, I don't know, I just wish somehow, I know a school in Nassau, I read in the paper recently, they're doing it. They said they only had to buy one bus to make it work. They didn't change any other school, only the high school. But I'm just bringing that up, hopefully I'll bring it up again, maybe, start the conversation, because I don't think there's anyone that would disagree that the child should not be at a bus stop by themselves at 6:20 in the morning, it's dark.
It's actually deeper than that.
It's dark.
There's a plethora of research that demonstrates a later start
Yes,
time.
the later
Yeah.
state.
For
Exactly.
high school
They
kids
should be
actually learn
reversed.
more. It should be
Yes.
reversed.
They should be reversed. Elementary school children should be going to school first because they're up earlier, and high school kids who are up later should be going to school later. But that's a whole nother, that's a whole nother,
Then you're gonna hear,
We're gonna revolutionize.
that's a whole nother.
You're gonna hear kids have
Yes,
to
there's a
work.
whole nother.
My other issue, again, it's being, everyone's talking about it, it's a major issue out there with parents. the amount of homework that kids are getting, is there a policy, or, is there a, do people say to themselves, or I don't know if the principal says it, but right now, certain people believe, I'm one of them, that kids are getting way too much homework.
So what do you suggest is too much homework, how much time?
Well, to me, a child, think about it, they're in school, I don't know, 6 hours, 6.5 hours all day, so they're doing a lot of schoolwork in school. When they come home, they have, quality family time, they have dinner time,
I don't know, I understand, but what's adequate time for
I don't,
homework?
that would have to be decided amongst a lot of people. I know me as a teacher, I give homework every night. Homework is important, but they shouldn't be spending in a fourth grade class more than a half hour. I'm just talking about, I have a child in high school, middle school, elementary school, and my high school child, he doesn't have a break. He's doing at least 2.5 hours of homework every day. My middle school child, and again, this is not just my children, it's people, like I said, I have a lot of friends out there, we always talk. The amount of homework she has, she has 2 hours of homework. Elementary children, I have a child in 5th grade, a child in 3rd grade, and it just seems to, in the last 3 years, I assume because of the Common Core, that, I don't know if it's teachers or whatnot, but they feel like that's more rigor. To give the children more homework, that's more rigor. And that's I don't think that's necessary. So I just think I have a child in each, at every level, and every one of them is getting way too much
Wasn't
homework.
there something for every grade, it was 20 minutes?
That's what it was, right? First, they used to say kindergarten, 10 minutes. 1st grade, 20 minutes, right? 2nd grade, 25 minutes. Yes, there used to be a thing. I don't know, again, the people I'm speaking to, we're all saying, why are they getting so much homework? They have no time, no downtime.
I knew when my kids were at elementary level, that one of the things that they would say at open house, if you were in 4th grade, they would say, if your child is doing homework longer than X amount of time, please stop them at that point. Or, they forgot to finish. But they told us, per grade, how much time that each kid should spend possibly on homework.
On the weekends, the homework that my kids are doing on the weekends, it's ridiculous.
It's
They
just not
can't-
APs or?
Yeah, he is. They
That's
can't
very
do certain things though. They can't even do activities. No, I can't. I gotta do my homework. It's just, I think it's way too much. It's a shame, in my opinion.
Well, the reason I was asking, because the AP is a college course, so it's gonna,
All right, but that's just him. There's a lot of other people. So I would just like, again, can we have a conversation? Like, talk about it. What is the correct amount of homework? Are some teachers abusing it?
so would you like to address that? Or
Yeah, I don't know how you would go about taking care
We
of
can
it.
certainly start the discussion tomorrow. We have superintendent's advisory cabinet, which is our administrative staff, so it's something we'll raise and begin discussion.
Excellent, thank you. My last thing is, in the high school right now, I heard last night about a social studies teacher, but I know,
Yeah, I was concerned about that.
yeah, there's a Spanish teacher that's out on a leave, and, 10th grade, I believe it's honors Spanish, and for how long now, they have I think there's been 3 different subs in the classroom, every sub, they don't know Spanish, they're not Spanish teachers. They have this big test at the end of the year they have to take.
The flax.
It's what can we do about it? I know the answer is, well, we put it out there.
We just appointed our own teachers to pick up those periods for the rest of the year today, because we've offered the job to how many different people, Bob?
The problem with foreign language teachers is that there are very few out there. I know the director was very disappointed. Last time out, there were only 4 people who applied, and 3 of them, I believe, dropped out, and the other one was just vital. So we have a provision in the teacher's contract that allows them to pick up a 6th period for pay. So that's how she took it.
Yeah, but are these Spanish teachers
Yes,
taking?
they thank you, sir.
They're Spanish teachers? I wonder, just something that went through my head, like you said, you put it out there, and 4 people.
Yes, this is on all.
I wonder if it sounds like we really need it, we're begging, like, can you say to someone, instead of paying you $110, maybe if you up the pay, maybe they would take it?
The pay in this case, by contract, is $68 for the first 10 days, and then 20% bump in salary. So it's not insignificant.
What was the issue with the
And I know what's going on, social, so the same thing, that, it's social studies teacher, I don't know if it was 11th grade, 10th grade.
They got a few teachers.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted to stay.
Yeah, they had 4 people apply, or 4 people put in for it, but 3 people, but all 3 people turned it down.
It's not like the same situation as.
Very similar, yeah. So they don't, it's a different sub every day, I believe.
Well, now it's appointed, now
Well, what about the social studies?
that too.
Oh, yeah.
You just appointed them on the consent
So
agenda.
how long would those students go down to social studies teacher and a foreign language teacher?
You know, you can't really recommend, you know, some of these things that I emailed you, Linda. You know, you're having a problem, can you recommend kids to go on Babbel, say for a foreign language?
Websites, right,
The
instead,
website, you know, while they're waiting or
as a stopgap
as a
potentially.
stopgap. I mean, we should know these things, so, you know, tell them, you know, different references that they can use that would help them. They should know it anyway, even if they have a Spanish teacher or French teacher. You know, go to Babbel for a reference, go to the math guy, whatever that was. There are a couple of math references out there. Khan Academy, and a couple other new ones that I've read about, that these kids can go for extra help. It doesn't cost anything, it's free.
Is CASEL learning strictly math?
No, it's all different, and kids can assign themselves assignments if they want to look into the questions and
So CASEL learning is also for foreign language too?
I don't know, it has, I actually think it does have some foreign language questions, but they're not translated, it's not as up to date with foreign language as it is with the other subject areas.
I think we went on to Babbel, we find.
If I have a very specific question about math modules and instruction, would this be the time to ask that or no? I don't know if it is.
Now, you want to take a shot at this one, Dean? Okay, there you go, bring it on.
Again, I can only go by, of course, my child's teacher, so. Talking about the math modules. In the math modules, they teach strategies, how to solve certain problems. Certain districts are, in my opinion, and in their opinion, they're doing the right thing. They're teaching the strategies. But on a test, the child does not have, they can use any strategy they want to get the answer. Right now, in certain classrooms here in Connetquot, their teachers are not allowed, they're not allowing the children to use certain strategies. They're telling them, you must use this strategy, and they're getting graded on that. I think that's the opposite of what should be going on in math. Math, you're supposed to be taught multiple strategies to get to an answer.
Can you give a specific grade for this?
Say it again?
Can you give a specific grade, to grade levels?
4th grade, 3rd grade. But I talk to people that have kindergartners, I talk to people that have 2nd
So
grade.
you're talking on elementary level?
On the elementary level. I'm only talking about elementary level. I'm not talking middle school or high school. And you know what I mean in the modules. There's a lot of strategies. You know, I'm a 4th grade teacher, so I teach them all the strategies. But on the test, I tell them, boys and girls, you use whatever strategy you have learned to get to the answer. And as long as they can show what strategy, great. They get full credit. But on certain exams that children are taking here in Connetquot, they're getting bad grades because they don't know that specific strategy that's being asked of them, but they know another strategy and they can get the right answer. What do you think about that, Mr. Miller?
It's kind of hard for me to answer that question because I need some more specifics regarding the.
Yeah, that's why I wasn't sure.
You know, I would need to look at the assessment to see what we're asking of the child, what the question is.
All right.
So I will definitely have our elementary.
Yeah, I kept everything. I do have a copy of it.
Okay.
Can I ask you a quick question on follow up on that? I really don't know the answer, but I just want to make sure before I speak out. Unless it's specifically stated in the state assessment, I believe the state will accept whatever strategy the child provides. Is that correct? Unless they specifically ask for a specific strategy. I mean, if they specifically ask them to do one thing, then they have to do that thing. But for the most part, if it's just a question without a specific strategy, then the state will accept any strategy the child uses.
State would, yes.
Right, unless they specifically ask
They
for a
do
strategy.
actually sometimes
So
ask
there
for
are certain
strategy.
questions, yes, that they specifically ask, use this, you know, they say, solve this with X, Y,
Not on the
Z.
elementary.
Can you give an example?
There are very few, but there are some. But
Can you
most
give
of
an
them,
example,
they will
Nick?
accept.
Can you give an example? Because when you say strategies, I'm thinking of geometry and algebra, so I'm trying to follow.
The break apart strategy, bonding,
Right,
number bonding.
number bonding, instead of, the new way of, I don't even know what it's called, 'cause I don't teach
Tape
it, but
diagrams.
a new way of dividing rather than, a new way of multiplying rather than just
Using the
traditional
box
nutritional
method
algorithm.
versus the algorithm.
Using the boxes and multiplying, rather than.
There's a lot,
traditional
there's like
algorithm.
20 different strategies.
It's different ways to turn the same answer.
So, well, here's the problem that I foresee is that why, if nothing else, we should have the discussion is, I can tell you this, my son's 4th grade teacher is accepting multiple strategies, even though he's
Right.
teaching,
That's why-
even though so there's not consistency in the district.
Yes.
One way or the other. So he's accepting,
Again,
like, so it's a good discussion.
it is a good discussion, let's see how pervasive this is,
Right.
and, if it's an isolated incident, or if it's pervasive across grade levels, it's something that we'll.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. Okay, Lee, you have any, okay, I'm good. I know I've been to a few things, but I don't remember what they are.
I also want to just invite you to the St. Patrick's Day Parade this weekend, because our Connetquot Civic Association, our students will be marching. They will actually have a float, and they will be marching, and Mrs. Augustus' husband
Yeah, I know.
is building
I
the
got a
flag
joke with it today.
as we speak, so it'll be really exciting.
And then the kids are gonna decorate it, right?
Yeah.
Well, they're coming to my house, I won't be home Saturday night, so they can come over, my husband will be there to entertain. So I'm gonna come over Saturday night when I'm not there. I think Mr. Silmy will be on that.
He will be on that
He will be on the
float
float,
with us as
yes.
well. Okay, moving over to public comment, the same rules apply. Anyone have any questions or comments? Ms. Panico.
Well, I lied, I said I had nothing else. Now we can answer some of the questions, but I just wanted to talk to what Ms. Amorano said. I guess my daughter must have the same teacher as your son, and what they're getting is they're getting questions from the teacher through one of the Remind You apps or something like that. And the substitute teacher actually said to them, you guys are gonna have to tell me what to do, because I don't know this stuff. So my own daughter is freaking out because they have the flax test, and she had a question, and there was no one that could answer. So I did contact the principal, and he did say that they were appointing someone
Tonight.
to do that, so I'm glad that they did that. And then I just wanted to actually really find out the discussion on the appointment of the new board member. And again, no offense.
I believe it's executive session, I think we discussed.
The board came to a consensus of 5 questions. And when the questions were asked, have any community service or community volunteering, that was one of the questions. I wish do you remember any of the other questions? Understanding of the budget was one question. Why do you want to be on the board was another question. Are you planning on running was another question. Is there anything else? There was
Are you
5.
disappointed in our choice?
No, I don't know the man, so I have no idea.
You don't know Rob Grable?
I have no idea. I've never met him before in my life.
Rob
So
Grable
it's
has
just a
lived in this
community-
community his whole life.
Okay.
The people that know Rob, anyone that knows him, would stand here and say, there's no better person to take this position than Rob Grable.
Okay, but the community didn't, like when you guys ran, we had an opportunity to ask you guys
He'll
questions.
be running in May, so
Right,
he'll have that
we can do that
opportunity.
too, but now he's appointed. so-
We had that opportunity now.
Right, you did. But I also wanted to point out again, and I have Mr. Freeman's response. I think I can give you this one.
Who's this Mr. Freeman?
If we didn't appoint anybody, you're pointing that out
He's
too.
the director of the Open Meeting Law.
Seriously.
I gotta find this guy.
He's the director of the Opens Meeting Law.
That's all I heard, is we
That's all.
weren't gonna appoint anybody, so we were
And,
gonna yell that for that.
You can see where I highlighted. He specifically states a case that says that it should not have been done in executive session.
very happy with who we chose.
You know,
I'm sure we will. I'm sure you're a great guy. I just want everything out in the open.
No.
It has nothing to do with this man in particular. It has to do with the discussion in public.
What do you mean out in
Can you
the
stop
open? What
for-
discussion in public?
Well, you had a discussion in executive session.
Yeah.
We did, we asked them questions and then we voted.
And Gordon was Mr. Freeman, and this case that Gordon versus the
supposed to be
Village of
done in
Monticello,
public?
Gordon versus the
Mr.
Village.
Freeman is wrong.
Eileen,
It's not, Mr. Friedman's wrong?
Eileen, I understand that we actually spend taxpayer dollars on answering your questions with this. I mean, how much do we spend in Woodby's to answer Eileen's questions?
It's not my fault that you guys have to, I did my own research.
Well, now we spent money on
The
asking our
case,
attorney.
the case says, Gordon versus the Village of Monticello. Each one of you, I gave you the information, each one of you could have looked up the case law. You
I
chose
would
that,
have to go in the advisement of the attorney.
and the Supreme Court,
can I respond?
Yes.
Yes.
We did this, it's not the first time that we've gone through this process. And I went through this process, maybe, say 10 years ago. And it's the same exact thing. People came, they requested to be on the board. The board interviewed them, the same exact process that we
but
went
just
through
because
this
you
time.
did it doesn't mean it's right. Just because we've always done something that way doesn't mean it's the right way. That's my only
Who
point.
says it's not the right way? You?
Right here.
Who?
Mr. Freeman, the
He's
director
wrong.
of the open meeting
He's
law,
wrong.
Our
who
attorney's
references.
telling us otherwise.
You better talk to the lawyer again, because
Our attorney's
there's
telling
case
us
law.
No,
Gordon
we don't wanna
versus
spend
the
any more
Village of
money.
Monticello. Can I finish? Gordon versus the Village of Monticello, the Supreme Court in Sullivan County made a ruling on this exact thing. It's all right here.
So,
Anyway, it's her time.
can you put this to rest?
I mean, I understand Mr. Freeman's position.
It's not Mr. Freeman's. It's Gordon versus Monticello is what they ruled.
They didn't rule on that.
They did rule. They said that.
They said that in dicta, meaning they said it in passing, but that was not what the ruling was on the case.
Okay, what was
The
the ruling?
ruling on the case had to do with the basis for going into executive session. They said what that board, the reason the board stated they went into executive session wasn't appropriate, and that's what they ruled. Then they said in dicta or in passing, and by the way, we're not sure of the propriety of appointing somebody in an executive session. That's not applicable in our opinion in this matter, because the Board of Education by law is allowed to appoint an individual.
No one said they weren't allowed to appoint.
Right. And that decision, it wasn't clear that the court understood that. That decision had to do with the town board. This is an education law matter, whereby law, they're allowed to do it. And that's why we have a
So
different
your
opinion.
opinion is different from Mr. Freeman's. I get that, and then this case was different. So then, I guess we will have to just spoil the information if we want to know, because he's not a protected employee, so we can
What
foil.
are you
I
foiling?
want to foil what he asked, and I want to find out the information about it.
Can't foil executive session.
I can foil executive
There's
session.
nothing in writing anywhere.
I could give you the 5
15
questions.
minutes for executive session.
I could give you the 5 questions, but we're not gonna give you the responses, because we shredded those. There was no reason to keep that. I shredded mine. Did you keep yours?
I didn't write anything down.
Do you think we're trying to hide something?
I think that you may not know that you have to do it in public. I think that you should have done
Then
it.
we do
So
know.
you say we're supposed to do interviews
I
in
did my
public, our
research,
attorney
right?
saying we shouldn't, so I'm gonna have to go with the advice of the attorney.
You know, the public came up here and complained that we weren't gonna appoint somebody because people said, oh, we may not appoint somebody.
I never
And then we
complained about
actually
either way.
interviewed 6 people, we chose the best person that we thought could benefit this board, and now we're being criticized for it. You can't have it both ways.
I don't understand why you're taking this personal. It's not personal. I'm not
Yeah, take it.
criticizing you.
Seems to be very personal, many of the things that come
You're
up.
taking it very personal. I'm not criticizing you. I would
But
just
you-
like the
well,
information.
You're criticizing my integrity, that I'm doing something, to try and hide it from you. You're criticizing my integrity. And my integrity went with
Really
the
taking my
recommendation of the
context
lawyer,
there now.
and the lawyer said, well, that's the way I'm taking it.
Well, then you really should.
I'm taking it that you're criticizing my integrity, and I'm trying to hide something from you. I'm not trying to hide anything from you,
I'll wait till
Eileen.
you're finished.
All right, we're taking the
I'm
advice
not
of
trying
the
to hide
attorney, and
anything.
that's it. That's
That's
it.
what I did.
And if somebody wants
I'm not trying to hide anything.
to take it further,
I'm
then
not trying to hide
Let me
something.
know
I'm
when
not
I
trying to hide
finish.
anything.
move forward. We're done. Done. Anybody else
Nobody's
have
trying to hide
anything else to
anything, I can
say?
assure you that.
I didn't say that you specifically were
All
trying
right,
to hide
we're
it.
not gonna have this.
What I
We're not
said is
gonna
that
have
the
this.
public would like information to be public. Just as
That's,
if,
you know what, Ms.
just like,
Panico?
I'm
That's it.
trying to finish my 3 minutes.
Your 3 minutes is up, so we need to end
I
it.
spoke for 10 seconds, and then, all right.
All right, that's good. So glad I videotaped.
Does anybody else have any other questions?
No,
I do.
don't take it personally though. It's not personal.
Last night, Mylan and Craig made a bet.
Oh, yes, we did. I owe him lunch.
Oh, so it's
That was right.
110.
It's back
You
in
should
the-
never say that, Craig. You should never say that. We all
Wrong
make
by saying
mistakes.
it.
point made. So what was so I think it was the starting salary for long-term
Starting salary.
subs. They start at they start at 110, and then it bumps up from there.
Goes up to about 140.
140, and then step salary up to 60 days.
So then what is the answer? Well, our bet was, what is
We
the
thought it was
sal-
150.
What is the salary for a leave replacement?
It's the same thing.
Starts, and that's where I was incorrect.
Graduates.
So was I confusing it with probably a probationary period, right? What's a probationary start at?
Probationary starts at step salary.
Okay, so maybe that's where I owe you lunch.
Perfect.
And in my,
It's on camera too, I can't even get out of this one.
You know, it's illegal to bet in New York State, right?
No, we're not betting money, we're betting food.
since we were talking, Greg, since we were talking math, and I was the one that made the 1 point error in adding up I used the doubling method, and then I counted up, and it was the 2 plus 3 that got me. So just so you know. Give me calculus, I'll be fine. It's just the 2 plus 3.
Yes, it's that elementary math that's getting everyone.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so are we done for this evening? We're actually gonna be moving into executive session.
Mr. Allen, would you like me to say anything?
I'm good right now, thank you.
Anything you want? This is a moment.
Okay, motion of the Board of Education to move into executive session in accordance with open meetings law, section 105F. I'm sorry, we're doing the exec from open meetings law to seek the advice from the board's attorney. Motion?
Motion.
I'll second it, all in favor?
Aye.
Take 5 minutes and then we, have.
Thanks for coming out, everyone. Good night, everybody. Good to see everyone. Next time, bring a friend.
Oh!
I think during the fall, he was
If you weren't hiding anything, you wouldn't be so defensive. That's on camera too.
Thank you. Thank you.